In this video, we're going to talk about equations and their graphs. In this example, we have a student who has a savings account with $475 in it. She deposits $125 of her paycheck into the account every week. Her goal is to save $7,000 for college. How much will be in the account after 3 weeks? So we're starting with $475 in the account, and we're adding $125 each week to that amount. Now, after 3 weeks, we will have added $125 3 times. So I'm going to multiply 125 by 3 and add that to the original 475. 125 times 3 is 375, and 375 plus 475 is $850. So that's how much would be in the account after 3 weeks. The second question is, how long will it take before she has $1,350? So again, we're starting with $475 in the account, and we're adding $125 each week. Now this time, I don't know how many weeks it's going to take. So instead of multiplying 125 by a number, I'm going to multiply it by a variable, which is w. Then I'm going to be solving for that variable. And what I want to know is how long it will take before this amount is equal to $1,350. So my equation is 475 plus 125w equals $1,350. Now I'm going to solve this equation for w. I'm going to start by subtracting 475 from both sides. That's going to leave me with 125w equals 875. Now to get w by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 125. And that's going to give me w equals 7. So that means it's going to take 7 weeks. Question 3 says to write an equation that represents the relationship between the dollar amount in her account and the number of weeks of saving. So I'm always starting with $475 in the account, and the number of weeks, I'm going to set that again to be w. So I multiply the number of weeks by 125 to get the amount that she puts in after she's put in the initial amount. And then I add that to the initial amount of 475. And when I add those two things together, that gives me the total amount in the account, which I'm going to set the letter A to equal the total amount in the account. So that's going to be my equation. Question 4 says to graph your equation using Desmos.com. So I'm going to pull up Desmos.com. And when you first go to the website, it's going to look like this. You're going to click on Graphing Calculator. Now, this is what the Graphing Calculator looks like. On the left side, we have these boxes where we can enter an equation or a point that we want to graph. So I'm going to enter my equation there. Now, I wrote my equation with the variables w and a. When I'm graphing, I want to use the variables x and y. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. 475 plus 125x equals y. So I would type that into the box. And there's the graph. Now, you can see the graph here. You can see the x-intercept, but it's kind of hard to see. It mostly just looks like a vertical line, and that's because my window isn't very good for the types of numbers that I have. So if I want to change the window, I click on this wrench up in the corner, and then that gives me some options. I want to change the range for the x-axis and the range for the y-axis here. Now, for my y-axis, I know that it's never going to be a negative amount of money in her account, so I can change that to 0. And I know the amount in the account is going to get up to the thousands, so maybe I want to set this to be like 8,000. For my x-axis, I know that the number of weeks we're not really considering going backwards, so I can set the left limit to 0 and the right limit, let's set it to 40. Now you can play around with these numbers a little bit. You can get a slightly different graph than what I got. That's totally fine. But this is what my graph is going to look like. Other options here, if I want to move this equation window backward, I can click on the arrows here. That will hide it. Click on the arrow again to bring it back. And this keyboard at the bottom brings up some symbols that you might not be able to type on your computer, things such as the square root. There's also numbers here you can type in here as well. So this is the line. Let me go back to my problem. It says to adjust the viewing window so that you can see the graph well. We already did that. In a blank row in the left column, type the coordinates of the points on the graph that represent the amount after 3 weeks and the week she has $1,350. So let's go back here. So 3 weeks, after 3 weeks, she had $850. So my coordinates would be 3, 850. Remember, in my equation, x is standing for the number of weeks, which I originally wrote as W, and y is standing for the dollar amount. So to plot that point on the graph, I'm going to click here in the second row and type the coordinates, 3, 850. In parentheses. Now it put a blue dot on the point where that is. I can click on this check box if I want to label the coordinates, or I can click on the point itself and the coordinates can also come up that way. The second point that I wanted to label was this one, 7, 1350. So this point is showing up as a green dot. I can see it right there, and I can click on the box if I want to label it. So we labeled those two coordinates, so now we're done with number 4. Question 5 says, how long will it take her to reach her goal? Going back to my problem, her goal was $7,000. So there's a couple of ways I could do this. I could set up an equation again and solve it. I could set 7,000 equal to 475 plus 125W. And then I could solve for W. I could also use my graph. So what I want to know here is what is the x-coordinate when the y-coordinate is 7,000? Now I can't quite see it on my graph, so let me change the settings here to bring this out a little bit further. So 7,000 is going to be right here, and if I click on the point, if I can get it just right, it looks like 52.2 is the x-coordinate when the y-coordinate is 7,000. So 52.2 weeks. The last thing that I want to do here is copy and paste the link to my graph. So when you're doing a Desmos graph, once you have it set so that you want to copy it, you need to have it big enough so that you have this kind of black toolbar at the top. And when you have this black toolbar at the top, you see this little button with a box with an arrow in it that says Share Graph. Click on that, and then this box opens up. You want to use the Share link. So the link is in the box. You can just click Copy, and then a check mark will show up. It'll be copied to your clipboard, and so go to where you want to paste it, and then hit paste, and it'll paste it. Now mine, it made it into a picture. Normally it's just going to paste the link there for you.